Hi folks, welcome to Economic Observations. Today is Tuesday, April 12th, 2022, and thank you so much for watching. This video is once again sponsored by the wonderful Tanzania School Foundation, a nonprofit near and dear to my heart, and if you need to know why, you can go back and look at some videos from last month and the story will be told. Okay, let's get started. Today there is so much going on in the world, and I'm not going to start with the 8.5% CPI index. We will get into that later, but there is so much more news out there that people aren't even aware of. Let's face it, today Sri Lanka defaulted on $51 billion of debt. Yes, the sovereign nation of Sri Lanka, just south of India, a beautiful small country with lovely people and beautiful beaches, has defaulted on their debt. The protesters are out, the citizens are in a fury, and they want their president to resign. It's not only the president, apparently it's his whole family. They want them to go. They're camping out in Colombo, which is the city, and saying, we're not leaving until he does. Anyway, Sri Lanka has been burdened with rising prices, no fuel, no pharmaceuticals, very little food, and rolling power outages because Sri Lanka has no money to pay for these things. And today, well, they defaulted on their $51 billion. I believe there is a port in Sri Lanka that China built for them, and China took it over. That was a few years ago. But a struggling nation, relatively poor, but a beautiful country. I was there in 2006. They are not in a good way. They joined that elite group of others that have defaulted on their loans, which include Lebanon, Argentina, Belize, Zambia, and Suriname. Okay, so there is a little group of countries that have defaulted on their debt. Those other countries in 2020, Sri Lanka in 2022. What country is next? And they are not the last one, I'm going to tell you that. Things are tough in the world. And things are tough here, things are tough in Europe, things are tough in the West, but they're tougher in other parts of the world. So we need to appreciate what we have, folks. There's going to be some major food shortages around the world like they've never seen before. And just like they have in Sri Lanka, it's going to be rampant. And it's going to get ugly. According to the World Trade Organization, the growth is going to come down. It is very fluid right now, and they expect it to be revised again, but they expect only a 3% growth, revised down from 4.7% because of this Ukraine-Russia war. There are 35 countries in Europe that depend on their wheat from Russia and Ukraine. And when I'm saying they depend on it, it's like 90% of it. Tunisia and Egypt are very, very reliant on those crops from those countries. And there is going to be trouble ahead because not only are the prices rising, there potentially could be a problem with even getting it from A to B. In July, the Ukrainian farmers generally harvest their wheat. It's harvested in July, it's planted in September. Those farmers need to cultivate that wheat or harvest that wheat and cultivate their crop in September. It cannot be burdened or harmed in any way because the world is reliant on that. We all know that Mariupol, the city on the Black Sea, the big port which gets a lot of this wheat all around the world, is devastated. I mean, Ukraine is trying to get it back, but there's nothing left of it. There is going to be major implications with food. Like I said, it might not be in the United States. It might not even be in Europe or Australia. But in some of the most devastated countries, they're going to see prices soar. I talked to my friends in Tanzania. Our teachers have to pay now 50% of their salary in transportation to get to school every day, because the price of a dollar, which is a bus, has quadrupled because the price of gas has gone up. My colleague who runs the school said a ream of paper used to cost him $5, which is like 10,000 shillings. It now costs 30,000 shillings. That is a 200% price increase. The price of food has gone up. So people, I know firsthand that there is a huge economic problem. And for trucks that go from point A to point B transporting things, or school buses that transport children, our school bus, the price has to double now. And how many of our parents, our students' parents, can afford to pay twice as much for a bus fee, which will be more than school fees and food combined? There's going to be some serious problems all around the world. And when the prices are that high, and let's face it, in Africa, proportionately, they spend most of their income on food. They can rent a little room, which they live in, 5 people in a little room with no electricity or indoor plumbing, for $10 a month. The majority of their money goes to feeding their families. And when the price soars so much higher than it is, how are they going to survive? Anyway, World Trade Organization is very concerned, and it's all very uncertain as to what the future lies ahead for many millions of people. All right, now we'll talk about that lovely CPI. CPI index rose 8.5% year over year, which is the largest growth of pricing since 1981, 41 years. So it is slightly hotter than expected, and it is thanks to food, energy, and shelter, which helped account for the gain. Real workers' income fell another 0.8% during the month due to the cost of living outpacing the source of wages. Now imagine those wages hadn't gone up, and then you add this war and the pricing of food and fuel and natural gas and everything going up. We would be in worse shape than we are today. But all right, so prices that people pay for everyday items in March were at their highest levels in the early days of the Reagan administration. Consumer Price Index, which measures a wide-ranging basket of goods, jumped from 8.5% from a year ago. If you exclude food and energy, the so-called core CPI index increased 6.5% over 12 months. However, there are signs that the core inflation appears to be ebbing. It just rose 0.3% for the month, less than the 0.5% estimate. Okay, so it in turn sparked some hopes that inflation overall was easing and that March might represent the peak. We know that the mortgage rates have gone up to, I think today it was like 5.14%, which is high compared to the past 5 years, and that might be putting some inflation pressures on because people aren't buying homes and used cars like they once were. Applications for mortgages has declined by 40%, which is huge. Which lead me to lumber falls to fresh lows of 2022 as the spike in mortgage rates and the housing demand cools down due to inflationary pressures, okay? And people just aren't renovating their house anymore, and builders aren't even going out there and building new homes. Mortgage rates for the popular 30-year fixed rate were above 5%, which has slowed down mortgage applications. Rising inflation put a dent in the home improvement market, weakening the demand for lumber. Lumber prices fell more than 6% to $829 per thousand per 1,000 board feet. The essential building commodity has seen a slowdown in demand thanks to the mortgage rates going up. It is up today 29 basis points from a week ago, and the surge in the rates has made buying a home way less affordable, and it's led to a precipitous 40% decline year over year as consumers now wait out for lower rates. The decline in home buying activity combined with the slowdown of DIY home renovations has ultimately led to a softening of demand of the commodity. Bank of America also notes that OSB prices were also lower, with buyers seeking discount as demand for do-it-yourself has slowed. But the capacity for railways, especially in the Northwest, has increased, and that has helped ease some of the supply chain problems that we saw earlier last year. All right, so it eases the pressures and it helps lower prices. So lumber prices overall are down 39% from their March highs of $13.57 per thousand board feet, and they are down 52% from May of 2021 at a peak of $1,733 per thousand board feet. And give the Federal Reserve more breathing room as it starts to hike interest rates and reduce its balance sheet. So the Fed's going to do what they do. I believe that there's going to be a 0.5% increase in the next hike, and hopefully it will cool down some other prices. I think that if you didn't sell your house and you were planning to, you missed the boat, because home prices are coming down, because people do look at that monthly payment, and the monthly payment now with just 1% on a $400,000 home is now over $1,000 more per month. So something to keep in mind. I also think used cars, there is a plethora of them, and if you didn't sell your sidecar or your extra car sitting in the driveway when you could have, well, I think you missed the boat too. But if you're looking to buy a used car, hang on for another few months. I believe that if you have some cash lying around from saving your money, you can make a good deal without even having to pay the higher interest rate. All right, well, that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I appreciate you. Be kind. Call someone. Tell them you love them. There are links in the description below. Should you like to support this channel, support it by making a donation to the Tanzania School Foundation. That is the best way that I would appreciate your help. Okay, thanks again for watching. Be kind. Call someone. Tell them you love them. Subscribe. Like this video, and we'll talk again real soon. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks for watching.